Hi guys, today I'm hitting off a few different topics. I'm going to be looking at why self-awareness is so challenging for so many. I'm also going to be looking at the conflict that we experience between our need for approval and tapping into our authentic selves, and also the reason why so many of our motivations are extrinsic and why we need to turn them around to intrinsic. Now, when I talk about self awareness, most people assume I'm talking about having a good gist about yourself, having a basic idea of what you're about. However, creating self awareness can be one of the most challenging, painful, difficult journeys we can undertake. It doesn't mean just acknowledging the more acceptable aspects of our personality, of our character. It means also bringing into awareness some of the darker sides of ourselves, some of our defense mechanisms, our coping mechanisms that we've had to create to get through life, some of the ways in which we experience resentment, and also some of the ways in which we self-sabotage. And we are, I suppose, people who are very much in denial. We like to think that we're very good people, and we ultimately are. But we all have a dark side, and that's not a bad thing, but it's just being aware of it and treating all aspects of the self with compassion and being aware of the ways in which we have aspects of ourselves that we need to work on. Next up, I'm looking at authenticity versus approval. Now, the thing is, we seek approval from the day that we are born. I mean, ultimately, we have to conform from a very, very early age in order to have our needs met, in order to feel accepted, and this happens in our family of origin. This happens as we move through school, into our career, into our relationships. However, sometimes we have to conform so much that we lose sight of our own true core values, beliefs, and needs. And part of the journey of self awareness is tapping into these and assessing how much you are sacrificing in order to feel accepted and approved of in life, and finding ways in which to express those core values and belief, even if it means changing the trajectory of your life or shaking off some of your old habits and even some old people. And this can be a really difficult process. It needs a lot of soul searching and a lot of I suppose kind of honesty with the self, and some people would like to avoid that because it can bring up some really, really difficult feelings. However, it's one of the most worthwhile journeys you will ever take, because ultimately, once you shake off the shackles of what holds you back, once you get in touch with the emotional reactions that are causing you pain and that are causing you to be highly reactive or anxious, you experience peace of mind. You can be so much more content in your life, and you can then seek what actually brings you fulfillment and life satisfaction and meaning. So an aspect of that is looking at the motivation behind what it is that you do. I mean, so many of us are in jobs, we have hobbies, we're in relationships that are approval based as opposed to authentically based. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I mean, it's the way we all live our lives. However, the closer we can get to the authentic side of things, the better off we're going to feel. So it's about looking at your motivation for doing things. And there's two different types of motivation. There's extrinsic motivation and intrinsic. Now, extrinsic is when we do something based on what we think other people are going to think, or the way they're going to perceive us, and or when we do something for our social media feed, and just because we do something that's extrinsic motivation doesn't mean that it is wrong per se, but it's just being aware of why you're doing it. So, people say, oh yeah, I go to the gym, and it's all about being healthy. Whereas reality is you're going to the gym because you don't like your body, you think that other people are judging you, you want to lose weight so that other people will think you look great. And that's all very fine and well, but just call a spade a spade. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is when you do something based on your core values, beliefs, and needs. And it's when you just want to feel better as a person. and it can be something that you do for yourself, or it can be something that you do for other people. It is driven by compassion, it is driven by kindness, and it is driven by acceptance and forgiveness, as opposed to a certain level of vanity and a need to feel good. So when something is driven by intrinsic motivation, it builds our self-worth, whereas extrinsic motivation builds our self-esteem, and self-esteem is all about external validation. What you want is an underlying self-worth that acknowledges your good bits, your bad bits, and just works on making them all more improved and better. So that's just a little bit of information. If this is something that you'd like to learn a little bit more of, I'm running a workshop in the Maldron Hotel in Tala on the 18th of September. Check it out. It's going to be a really good evening where we do a lot of work on self-awareness and self-actualization. If you are struggling in any way with your mental health, or if you would like to find ways in which to work on anxiety or any issues that you have that are holding you back in life, get in touch on the website. It's fundamentals.ie. You can also catch me on Facebook or Instagram. I've recently released a podcast as well with Neil O'Brien. Brilliant crack, great conversation. It's called Touchy and Feely. It's on iTunes and Spotify. I also have all of my videos posted on my YouTube channel, Fiona Feely. So go check those out, subscribe, and let me know what you think.